All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. About 2 weeks ago, there was a report in the Chinese media, the Science Technology Daily, that there was some suspicious signals observed by the China Sky Eye. This is one of the largest radio telescopes in the world, which suggested that they had detected some kind of signal from extraterrestrial civilizations. This Sky Eye telescope, it's a huge dish that is in the southern area of China. This study was reported by a head scientist called Tong Jiejian. He's a professor at Beijing Normal University, and he heads the China Extraterrestrial Civilization Research Group at the Department of Astronomy and Extraterrestrial Civilization. There's an actual research group that is actually really looking for such signals. And since that was reported, there was many reports in the Western media saying that China has detected signals from alien civilizations. And then, interestingly, this report was actually deleted. And so I checked this out just today. So if you go on the Science Technology Daily site and then you search for the original article, then it's actually listed in this link. But we go and click on it, you just cannot find the article anymore. So somehow it's been sort of retracted, and it was reported several days after the original report that, in fact, this was actually not really signal from alien civilization, but it's just some kind of interference. But there's some mysteries in terms of then what do they actually observe. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a bit of a dive into the original report where it was reported that there were these signals that were detected from outer space. So to do that, we've got Kai Schwan.
So let me introduce about the FRBs. It's a 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope, and as Tim just said, it's now maybe the largest one around the world, and it has so many scientific goals. It can detect neutral hydrogen to the edge of the universe, discover pulsar, join the international very long baseline interferometry network, perform high-resolution radio spectral survey. The fifth one what we're talking about today is to participate in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
So it's interesting. It's actually really one of the goals of the telescope.
Yeah, it's just one of the goals, and it's really working like that. The important thing they're going to detect from the universe is to capture the FRB. What is the FRB? FRB is a fast radio burst. It's a transient radio pulse of the length ranging from a fraction of a millisecond to a few milliseconds, caused by some high-energy astrophysical process not yet understood. FRBs are named in the formats of FRB, years, months, days. You're going to see that later. And the first FRB was found in 2007, known as Lorimer burst. The German physicist Duncan Lorimer and his students checked the archival data taken in 2001 in Australia and found the first FRB. But FRB does not mean it's like the signal of the alien's existence. According to scientists, it can also be caused by other astronomical phenomena, for example, bursts of magnetar and maybe some other interference from the ground. February this year, 2022, the STI team of China has just posted a paper about the most sensitive SETI observation by multi-beam coincidence matching strategy towards exoplanet systems. In that paper, they basically raised some new ways to identify the interference from the ground, from the signals they call from the space. And they use the case of the Kepler 438, which is a star, to be known as most possible places to be given birth to some lives now.
Just curious, is this their paper or some paper from American people? I'm just curious.
It's actually from mainly from the Chinese institution, and some of the people who taking part in this, also take part in this project, are from for example, UC Berkeley or some other places. So I would say it's a kind of cooperation paper.
Okay, joint paper.
I'll say about it, it's still a preprint. I haven't seen it be like peer reviewed by any other bodies. So it's still a preprint. So I'll show you some figures about it. You see the figures 4 here is like constructed by the multiple like directions of the observations, and you see one signals here. It's from the observation towards the Kepler 438, and you see the explanation. A signal which piqued our interest is shown in Figure 4, which is detected 1,000, which is detected at 1,040.604 image z from the observation towards Kepler 438, with a bandwidth of further than a best fit drift of the minus 0.678 within the reach of the transmitter moving with an exoplanet. It is the only event that is only present in beam 1 and not in any beam, which makes it different from any other event we detect. According to this feature and the fact that the event persists for 20 minutes, during which its drift rate varies slightly, we can exclude the possibility of all ground-based RFI sources outside the telescope, including airplanes. We also find that no satellite or deep space probe entered the main lobe of beam 1 during the observation. Thus, the possibility of artificial object is also ruled out.
Just to maybe, can I just clarify a couple of things? So, I mean, this figure is like literally the detectors on this giant dish, right? And then, they have basically different detectors according to different regions, I think, if I understand it correctly, right? It's kind of pointing in different regions of the sky, right? So if you detect it, so in this grid of like 18 hexagons here, right? Like basically each one of those corresponds to it coming from like a slightly different bit of the sky. And, if you think about it, if you're trying to detect signals from a planet, of course, it has to come from just like one direction, right? Like it can't be coming from like, that star and then that star and then that star and, all these different stars because, I mean, I don't know what that would mean. Basically, the game in this whole thing is to always rule out interference from basically signals that are coming from Earth, right? And then so the fact that it's detected on multiples of these detectors is a kind of a clear signal that it's not just coming like from one direction in the sky, but it's actually sort of coming from various places on Earth, bouncing around and hitting all these different detectors and then, causing a signal there. So if you look at the original figure, the fact that it's just the middle one that you see the signal and then none of the other ones you see any signal, that kind of is a clear signal that it's just, it's coming purely from that one direction that's corresponding to that middle detector, and all the other detectors are not seeing it. And so, it rules out kind of interference. So
figure A, that's just like the case of the figure 4 of the Kepler 438. And you see the figure B here, there's like a few directions. A few of the blocks has detected signals, which means that the signals can come from this kind of directions. But you see this figure C, the direction doesn't seem to be like it will come from the few directions. It can come from anywhere. So this might be highly possible to be the ground interference. Okay, and this is also the figure from that paper. You see the hits are some narrow signals, and the events are the events will have the proper pattern, for the 18 detectors. You see those detectors from this figure. That's how you identify our FRB from the other spaces.
So basically, the idea is that if there is some, extraterrestrials that are creating some signals, you assume that they have the technological capability of producing some very narrow band signals. Well, I mean, humans can do this all the time. You say you're sending radio waves from a station, it's just, basically one frequency, right? So just in the same way, aliens also should have that technological capability of producing narrowband, and that kind of stuff doesn't just happen sort of randomly and seen as a sort of a signal. So the blue ones are just any kind of signal which is like narrowband, right? And with a reasonable signal to noise, because there's some noise, and then has to sort of spike up in that frequency that's above that. So all those blue things. So there's a huge, actually, if you look at it, there's a huge number of these kind of very narrow band kind of signals. But then you eliminate a lot of them by, as Kaishan was saying, if it's got the right sort of pattern that's emerging from the telescope, so that it's not just just hitting all these detectors, which is a telltale sign that it's Earth-based interference. All the orange ones are potential signals that might be something that is interesting to look at.
Yeah, it was seen like an artificial thing, because like it was so narrow, like comparing to most of the natural astrophysics events. It was so narrow that you cannot you will simply think about it should be caused by the artificial things, which might be caused by aliens or something, but it's also still possible to be caused by other things. We haven't understood it yet. But according to Tong Jiezhang, the chief scientist of the China SETI team, these kind of phenomena can also caused by, just as I said, other phenomena and also interference or other any stuff. It still took time to check about it, but the medias are just saying that it should come from the alien, which make him a little bit unsatisfied about it. He thinks that media exaggerated way too much. And actually,
that's what they're trying to do, right? they are searching for aliens. It's not. I mean, that's the whole mission of the whole thing, right? So
yeah, and actually, the thing that's draft the media's attention is not the Kepler 438 thing, because it was already detected much earlier, and the paper was posted in February. The most attention causing paper was this one. It's talking about the FRB 190520b. That was you can see that it was caught in 2020. Yeah, right. The signals, and the paper talking about it just published June 8th this year. It's just a few days before the media's paying attention to the fast. So they might have, according to the team, they might have detected several signals, which might be the signals of the extraterrestrial civilization. But yeah, just I said, it's just FRB. We are not sure where it came from. But just a few days ago, maybe the middle of the June, when Tong Jiezhang, the chief scientist, get interviewed by some media, he just saying that these FRB may be just caused by the interference, comparing to his earlier talks about FRB. Is pretty strange, actually. And some reports, just as Tim showed, was withdrawn from the official website.
Sorry, just in this paper, of course, they don't talk about any extraterrestrial, signals. This is more just a pure,
yeah, it's more like a report. It's just a report showing that they caught the FRB. They identified the FRB from the old reports.
If that's supposed to be the signal that you find narrowband things and it's coming from a planet, and then so they don't really know the origins, but I mean, you sort of, I don't know, I mean, you're trying to, that's supposed to be the signal, right? So they found the signal, it seems like, that they were looking for. Of course, it doesn't mean it's aliens, but you can't not say it's aliens too, right? Or not?
Yeah. So the scientists just say it's possible to be the aliens, and the media just say, okay, the scientists got the signals from the aliens.
Okay, well, yes.
Maybe it is signals from some other extraterrestrial object which doesn't they able to figure out, like some radiation.
As I said, the fast rapid bursts haven't been understood by humans yet, so it can cause by anything.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is, wouldn't alien signal be a long stream of low entropy signals instead of just one burst?
The burst, the burst is
TV, the TV is always on. There's like a continuous stream of images and communication, like for the airlines and airplanes. But there is just like bursts.
Yeah, so that is possible, but it's hard to identify from all this radio from the universe. The thing you identify for the FRB is burst so within so small range, so that you capture it, and it's highly possible to be caused by the aliens, because humans can do it, so the aliens can also do it. And comparing to the other long time astral phenomena, the burst is more likely to be caused by artificially caused, but not
So Kaishwan, correct me if I understood what you just said. So it's like perhaps they have if assuming they're aliens, perhaps they have a long stream of signals for their own usage, but this is just vanishes in all the noise in the universe. And perhaps there was one alien intern at the radio tower who accidentally put the knob too high and got scolded immediately, and we caught that or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. Should be. Okay. I guess that's how we understand about the burst.
So this burst, the one that they detected, the one with the the clear signal in the middle, right? This Tong Jijiang was interviewed. He was saying that yes, this is definitely interference, and then also the other professor from I think Berkeley also said the same thing, that this is definitely
The Berkeley professor is also the author of this paper. If you see this name is
Worthman. Yeah. So I wonder, why do they so confidently say that it's interference? Do they have some additional information, or I guess we don't know, do we?
Yeah, that's what I'm also confused about it. They have their attitude seems to be so strong about it should be the interference. I'm not sure where did they get the evidence, because I haven't seen any kind of science report about it.
Right. Yeah. So I think there's nothing published. So basically, that preprint went on the archive, and then some media picked it up, and then everybody went nuts. And then I think a few days later, they sort of, took interviews and then sort of tried to calm everybody down a bit. But in terms of anything that's actually released, we haven't seen any additional evidence.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Curious. If we should have extraterrestrial beings, how would they be communicating, and what would they be communicating like us, or would they be communicating in a different form? Should we expect them to have similar technologies or different technology to ours?
Yeah, that's why they use a fraction a FC. They have the they understand of the radio waves, the computers, a radio astronomy, to communicate, so that we can be communicate.
I think maybe they used to use radio waves, but in the meantime they have solved the no communication theorem and they no longer use it. That's why we can't.
That's highly possible. They're too advanced so that we cannot communicate.
So again, we are assuming that they know something about quantum mechanics. Is that correct?
Well, they communicate with you with some kind of super distance a technology. You don't know about it.
Maybe they listen to our radio waves and they laugh at us. Oh, they think that entanglement cannot be used for communication.
Yeah. We don't know.
Thank you, Kaishwan. Very interesting stuff. All right. Any questions from anyone?
And I was just thinking, they are very accurate about this result. There might be some defect in the telescope because it is newly constructed. I don't know if in the past they have convincing results.
I guess, so we don't know, but just from the fact that in the interviews that these two scientists did, I mean, they kept on saying that it's interference, right? And they didn't say it was, like a fault in the telescope or, something like that. So I believe that they're not blaming it on the equipment, and they're blaming it on something else. Yeah.
It can be comes from anywhere. It can come from even like a TV, microwave things, or even an airplane, a satellite. We cannot say it.
Okay. Well, I don't know, but what is usually the origin of this FRB? The origin of FRB, right? Fast radio burst. What is the origin? Do we really know?
That's also the thing we haven't understood yet.
Okay.
It's just like an unknown signal for the humans, but we catch it because we catch it because like it was like so special.
Oh.
It was like a high energy event, but happened in such a small like time range. It just like happened with a high signal. You catch it comparing to the other like radio waves. That was like a kind of different thing. That's why we catch it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do they look?
They look like UFOs because he was just saying it's something like unknown radio frequency waves or something like that. So maybe.
No, not the radio. Yeah. How do aliens look? I don't care about the radio.
As you want to imagine.
I think it's a very cool presentation, but you didn't even mention the pyramids, and.
Yeah, I always do think that somehow there's always a bias towards how the aliens should be, like the fact that they should be carbon-based or there should be water on the planet, things like this. And I don't know, I always find that very sort of human-centric. I don't really see why it should be carbon-based or even, there should be water on the planet, and why it should be like a regular temperature, like 30 degrees-ish, things like that. Like it could be, for me, life could probably take any kind of form.
So it's you think it's a bias from the biologists, right?
If I understand this bias correctly, it's they consider the elements that are capable of creating potential organic chemistry, and it's because of how many bonds they can have simultaneously. So it's either carbon, either silicon. But I think for the silicon-based life forms, such chemistry could only exist under like some extreme conditions, like high pressure and stuff. So you would need to consider a completely different set of exoplanets, because biology is like, very like life is a set of very complicated, machinery. So you need a very versatile and flexible set of molecules that could form all those kind of functions. And for that, you need organic chemistry. And for that, they consider either carbon-based, either silicon-based.
But even we humans, do we really understand how life even come into being in the first place? I don't think we equally do. But I'm not so to. But I'm thinking it has so much to do with maybe the type of environment in which we find ourselves. I mean, maybe for this type of environment, what all these things Marek is saying is what makes it possible for life to exist. Maybe if you go to a different kind of environment, these elements you are mentioning might not really be feasible for anything. Yeah, seriously, I'm just thinking, if there should be, other life forms, with the same physical principles that we obey here, will it still be the same for them? Like all this quantum information, no cloning, blah, 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 blah. Will it be the same for them or will it be different? And because, for instance, when we send message, I already know in what form I'm sending it, and the other person knows in what form it should be coming, and you're able to decode it, right? So for this extraterrestrial being, could it be that they're doing something wholly different from what we are doing? And maybe that's why we are not even being able to even see the existence, even if their signal is even all around us.
Well, I think in terms of physics, people expect, I think people have not observed anything that's suggesting that physics are different on different planets or, stars, because, you can see the spectral characteristics of stars, and, they basically match exactly everything on Earth, right? And so there's this big study that's been going on for a long time, where people are searching for variation in alpha, right? This fine structure constant.
Yeah.
And then I think still people haven't found conclusive evidence whether really alpha is changing. Well, I guess that's also not just distance, but also in time, because they're looking at signals from stars that are very, very far away, and that means it takes a long time for them to arrive. So it's actually also a time thing as well. But anyway, so I think physics, you have to assume it's the same. But yeah, definitely, what language or, what way they communicate, of course, we have no idea.
Maybe they can be more advanced. We don't know yet. Physics is same, but they have reached up to that level we don't know yet. That might be possible.
When people say more advanced, I keep on confusing it with so many things. I think maybe, what if they're not really that advanced, but they have, they have more smart ways to combine these things and, communicate. Not necessarily being advanced in the sense of, having high tech and so, but they have smarter ways of, like Tim was saying, laws of physics should be the same in all universe, which I expect. But the interpretation of these laws of physics may be different from what they are doing and what we are doing. And I think that might hold the key. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe since the environment we evolved in, it makes us want to explore and discover new things. But what if they evolve in the environment that makes them want to actually hide and isolate? So maybe they have, technology, but they're just not interested. They don't want to be seen, observed.
Well, I guess the argument would be that, electromagnetic signals it's just so useful. And of course, it's just there naturally as well, in light and, from stars, that surely aliens would be using it, because it's just, it's just being incredibly useful. I guess that's the argument.
Yeah, of course. If they're there, I believe they'll be using it. But like I just said, they may be using it in a way that we ourselves might not be able to know what is even in there.
So what if their system has a star that is emitting, very strong radio waves, and at the same time their planet has very strong magnetosphere to shield them? So basically whatever gets passed through that is indistinguishable from all the noise from their star, but on the planets they can totally communicate using that because they're shielded using the strong magnetosphere. So this way they can have a perfectly developed civilization with radio waves and everything, but nobody can detect it because there is just indistinguishable from whatever is around them.
I don't even know how much you can detect of all the, radio signals that we make. I don't know how much you can actually detect that from a, far away star, unless you're purposely sending it out straight into space. But unless you do that, all this, TV and stuff like that, probably you can't detect it.
We should check it. I'm sure someone asked this question already.
All right. Okay. Well, that's all we have for today. So thanks for watching, and see you for the next video. Bye.
Thanks, Kashwan. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.